Adam and I were joking that we never know when this goes live. And you sit there, you can have an entirely different conversation. And you all got me, I think, saying, "Yay, no vaccines." It was dark humor. I'm not celebrating the fact that America is literally killing itself. That our life expectancy has gone down 3 years. That measles, I'm not making this up, has become great again. That Dr. Monares of the CDC, formerly of the CDC, because she was fired for not bending the knee to RFK stupidity and ignorance, is warned about polio becoming great again, and the fact now because of the very dangerous or reckless press conference by Donald Trump, you're going to have a whole bunch of people not taking Tylenol because they believe Tylenol causes autism. There's no links between Tylenol and autism, no links between vaccines and autism. But this is what happens when your country is led by an authoritarian pro-death movement that believes in white supremacy, unfettered capitalism, and eugenics. And what they do when they have power, Adam, is they use and abuse that power to silence all their critics. And what bothers me, Adam, is that all of our corporate institutions, pretty much all of them, and the Democratic Party, I would say the leadership, don't realize that the game that they've been playing has always been rigged. They're playing in a rigged game, and it just bothers me. And I'm sick and tired of playing of this game. I think majority is also, Adam, right? And you saw it with Jimmy Kimmel, right? Civility for me, cruelty for thee. First Amendment for me to say the most hateful shit, but if you say anything we don't like, we're going to cancel you, right? Safe space for me, no safe spaces for thee. And you saw it with Jimmy Kimmel's cancellation. And not only with his cancellation, the fact that he returned yesterday, and right now, I saw the monologue, I want your take on it, but right now, he put it on YouTube, millions of views. I'm here in DC, Virginia. We couldn't watch it because Sinclair refused to broadcast it because Sinclair and Nexstar are still Trump toadies and have a lot of stations, and they saw that Trump was upset, so they didn't air it, and they had more news. I thought he gave a very good monologue. He also gave a very pointed critique of Trump, called out his bias, called out Pete Hegseth. And I don't know if you've seen today, MAGA is having a meltdown. So with all of that, I yield the floor to you.
Yeah, I think all of this sort of connects. First of all, for everybody coming from my end, click that little circle and subscribe to Waj if you're not.
And subscribe to
Thanks,
Adam.
thanks, man. Thanks for having me. I've been tuning into a bunch of years, and you've had some great conversations. The one moment that I tuned in the other day, and you were talking about Randy, I was like, oh my God, Randy Weingarten's the best. I haven't read her book yet. I'm excited to read it, but so glad that you guys connected. I think it's all interconnected, right? Like there is that Streisand effect happening right now at every level. When you've got Republicans who are literally going out there to get Disney subscriptions while drinking their Starbucks. You know, Disney, what is it, 2, 3, 4 years ago? You just have to go back not too long with DeSantis and his big fight, you know, where he wanted to take them out. I mean, it's truly remarkable. But again, the Streisand effect on Kimmel, right? Same thing this morning with the Trump and Epstein statues outside the
Oh,
Capitol.
amazing. Thank you for bringing that up.
They
Beautiful.
were
Tell everyone what that is.
so they've got, you know, for Friendship Month, there were 2 statues placed in the last 48 hours with a legal permit through the U.S. Park Police, where you have to explain everything that you're doing, what goes into it. You know, they had security, but it's a giant, you know, bronze statue of Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, with a nice little a blurb about them on a plaque below. And not only did the individuals behind this go to check every box, but they also had security with it and so forth. And it was supposed to run through this coming Sunday at 8 p.m. And overnight, a user on Reddit had videotaped Park Police removing them. Now, I went and looked in the permits, and I think WUSA 9, which is you know, our local reporting here, also stated that if they ever take anything like that away, they have to give 24 hours notice and justification to the permit holder. I don't even think it had been up 24 hours, but there definitely wasn't a 24-hour window in which it seems that anyone knew that was going to happen. So that looks like, you know, Donald Trump heard about it, or maybe, you know, saw it online and ordered the removal. But back to the original point, the Streisand effect is it went viral when everyone saw it. Now it's going viral again because they removed it. And what's going to happen? that group, whoever's behind it, is going to save money on security and everything else they were planning on doing through Sunday at 8 p.m. and probably have more resources to continue doing whatever they're doing.
Well, speaking about the Streisand effect, this is Harry Enton, the pollster on CNN. He just tweeted this. Trump didn't break Kimmel. He energized him. Viewership of Kimmel's monologue has already broken records. This was 3 hours ago. Already 7 million people have viewed it on YouTube. It was again on last night, like at 11:30, 12. That's by far the most watched Kimmel video in the last 6 months. The median Kimmel video gets 240,000 views. Now, God bless Donald Trump for being Donald Trump, because he is the world's most helpful supervillain. He is so fickle, so cankled, probably so riddled with dementia right now, that he can't help but blurt out his supervillain plan, right? Like he's that vindictive and weak. So here you have the entirety of the right wing spending, oh, I don't know, the last 3 days doing somersaults to gaslight America and say, oh, it's not vindictive, oh, it's the choice by the FCC, and oh, it's because Jimmy Kimmel lied, and oh, it has nothing to do with Donald Trump pressuring Brendan Carr of the FCC to go after his critics. And then yesterday, last night, apparently Donald Trump blew a gasket because he found out that ABC actually, after Ben Kennedy, barely got up at him and was going to put Kimmel back on. Well, I'll quickly read a part of what he said. Yesterday, 7:35 p.m., he posted it. Can't believe ABC fake news gave Kimmel his job back. The White House was told by ABC that his show was canceled. Some things happened between then and now because his audience is gone. His talent was never there. Why would they want someone back who does so poorly, who's not funny, who puts the network in jeopardy by playing 99% positive Democratic garbage? He's in another arm of the DNC, and best of my knowledge, that would be another illegal campaign contribution. I think we're going to test ABC on this. Let's see how we do. Last time I went after him, they gave me $16 million. This one sounds even more lucrative. A true bunch of losers. Let Kimmel rot in his bad ratings. Adam.
I mean, first of all, it's always interesting when he talks about illegal campaign contributions, right? Because obviously we saw Sinclair, who made the move that you just discussed, right? I think they had given $250,000 to TPUSA, and of course Donald Trump, grifter in chief, but he also seems to catch lightning in a bottle 3 times a day when it comes to court cases and everything else. But with that
Adam,
said,
can I also say for people who don't know that Sinclair, excuse me, Nexstar, it's either Nexstar or Sinclair. I'm going to find out right now. I'm going to double check. But they're also openly right now asking Jimmy Kimmel to give money to TPUSA, which is a political organization, as a condition for them airing him back on their stations. So it's a straight up extortion campaign happening in real time. But continue.
yeah, no, I mean, what you're saying is entirely right, and people, me included, despite posting it at the time, kind of forget a lot of this goes back years and years, including when Jimmy Kimmel was hosting an awards ceremony, and Trump was live tweeting him at the time, and
I
Kimmel was
remember.
reading his phone, and he said, "Isn't it past your jail time?"
I think
And
this was 2 years ago at the Oscars.
yeah, at the Oscars, turn on these notifications.
And it was
So
Sinclair. It was Sinclair that is still having that condition over Kimmel that he has to apologize and then give money to TPUSA, a political organization, and then they'll consider having him back on their stations. And Sinclair is a major toady of MAGA and the Trump administration. And Nexstar is trying to finalize a $6 billion merger that will give it an 80% control of local stations. And guess, Adam, tell the people who controls that merger? Who has the final say in that merger? Can you tell them?
going to be it's good. Well, everything. It's on Donald Trump, right? And the
FCC. Yep.
FCC. But on the Kimmel piece, what's kind of interesting too on the contract, right? I think his contract is up May of next year. This
Yes.
isn't something that's up like 3 years from now. So he's got a lot of leverage after what happened last night to do whatever he wants to do. I mean, I was kind of joking a couple days ago when we weren't sure if he was going to be back on. Like, I'm excited that he's going to be joining Substack because everybody that gets fired ends up joining Substack within 24 hours. But with that said, yeah, I mean, look, the FCC chairman that you're talking about also wears a gold pin cosplaying as a mall cop of Donald Trump's face on his jacket.
Are you serious?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, idolatry is a sin. I remember that from Catholic school. But continue, Adam.
The only thing that was sort of real about the pin is it's got like the double chin. But when we're off, I'll text you the photo. But no, look, these are wild times, and I think that the one thing that we're seeing is I know we're going to talk about some of this other stuff in Dallas and so forth momentarily, but what we're seeing is like one, they are so quick, to tweet or post in response to anything, and they're either getting it wrong, embarrassing themselves, further deteriorating the offices that they hold. I mean, look no further than Kash Patel. I mean, it used to be a big moment when an FBI director would walk out. The whole world would be listening to see what they had to say in those 3 or 5 minutes, even if it was something totally fucking stupid like Comey. And now, it's one big joke. So, but at the same time, they're apparently lifting up businesses like Starbucks that provide great healthcare benefits to their workers.
Did you see Gavin Newsom's appearance on Colbert? Gavin Newsom came out on Colbert and was very forceful, and he actually came out and openly said that he doesn't think. Well, he says that Donald Trump's not going to leave in 2028, and I think I have my critiques of Gavin Newsom. I thought it was a strong appearance, and I think more Democrats not to need to be just blunt. This mother effer ain't leaving. We're dealing with an authoritarian regime, and we have to do everything in our power to actually repel it. Your take on that? I don't know if you saw it or not, but the clips are also going viral.
Yeah, no, I did, and I think that we have to work under the assumption that that is the case, and look no further than the White House and the disgusting mess and changes that he's making to it. Where he talks about what he believes is many people are saying it's the world's biggest flagpole, despite the fact that, he's never driven down the highway and seen one of these RV sales shops and Camp World and so forth. That beautiful area where, we've got pictures of all the presidents walking in the White House that now looks like the Hollywood walk of the stars, the tree, how if that tree that they just tore down for his new ballroom could tell stories, how much has that seen over the years? Um, I'm saying all this because he looks like he's turning this into a place he is never leaving.
There you go. There you go. A person who sells 2028 hats shows off the 2028 merchandise to foreign leaders. That's what he showed off to the European leaders and Zelensky who were visiting, who openly says, um, well, I might stay. There's ways I could stay. He ain't leaving. A person who goes after mail-in voting, a person who demands, literally openly demands Republicans give him 100 seats, is not leaving. And not only just not leaving, folks, with the 2026 midterms coming up, he knows right now that he's going to lose. And there was a special election yesterday where, I don't know if you caught that, Adam, where Democrats overperformed and won a House seat, which
It's
again,
Yeah,
go ahead.
incredibly important too because that's the additional vote we needed
There you
for
go.
Epstein on
Tell
the
him.
Hill.
Tell him.
Yeah, I mean, Ro Khanna and Tom Massey, two people that I never envisioned in my lifetime I'd see working together, are. And we had 217 votes. We had the Democrats and three Republicans. Oddly, one was Marjorie Taylor Greene, who also oddly was not in Arizona because there's this big civil war going on for the funeral. But Raul Grijalva, who had passed away, the special election took place last night. His daughter previously won the primary. And I know there's folks on here that supported a number of candidates, but everybody got together to make sure that we not only carried that seat, but what we saw, and gave us the 218th vote that we needed for Epstein. But what we saw is it also was reminiscent of what happened 3 weeks ago, probably, in the seat that Jerry Connolly that was open because Jerry Connolly had passed, where it was a seat that Kamala had carried, I think, by 36%, and we outperformed that with James Walkinshaw by I think 15 to 18%, and he
Yep.
carried over 75%. And this is a seat that the Democrats, sometime so many years back didn't have. That this is terrible news for Republicans.
And also, it's a terrible news for the Democratic establishment. I know they won't like to hear this, but the reason why it's terrible news for Grijalva is because she is hardcore progressive, carrying the mantle of progressive causes, endorsed by progressive candidates like
You mean
Sanders and
good news
AOC.
for Democrats?
Huh?
I said good news for Democrats, just not
I,
bad news
great
for
news
the
for Democrats, bad news for Democratic leadership and the abundance movement and all these other folks.
which
And
basically
the
is what we're doing right now. It's like independent media versus legacy media. It is the next generation and Democrats that are the base versus the legacy party.
Yeah, and it's big. It's a really big, and
And it's
she
been coming
over.
for years. We saw Saddam beat Chap Peterson in Virginia. We've got Ghazala Hashmi, who nobody was talking about during the primary this year
I'm here in
for
Virginia.
lieutenant governor, who is now the nominee for Democrats for lieutenant governor under Abigail Spanberg. So it doesn't matter, what your name is, what your color is. What people want are people that speak to the base, like Republicans have been doing for years and years, and are actually going to go there and deliver on that and not just be another John Fetterman who talks like they're going to do that. Um, we can see through those people now.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, I think she was also nominated by and or working with the Working Families Party, which also supported Zoran Mamdani, and it supports candidates top down and works as an outside group to really leverage them and connect them to folks. So the Working Families Party folks, I had one of their executive directors on. I strongly recommend listening to that conversation. I'll have him back on again. But this is a pretty big in Arizona, overperforming plus 34, overperforming this Trump plus 34 district. Um, Republicans are running scared. And furthermore, like you said, the necessary vote for Massey and Khanna to release the Epstein files. And what I'm seeing right now, Adam, I want
Can
your
I just
take
say
on
one
this.
more thing, Watch? Too.
Yeah,
There
of
was
course,
a
you can say
poll
whatever you
out.
want.
I don't remember what the exact poll was, but there was a poll out in the last 2 weeks that talked about who people see as the leaders of the party, right? And at the top it was AOC and others by a huge margin. And so we do have a problem on our hands when our leader is getting behind a Charlie Kirk resolution, let alone not endorsing Zoran, right? It just the math doesn't add up.
Yeah, it doesn't add up, and we still. You're taking out the Senate because, for those who are joining us, 1,100 people, and it was very interesting in that he knows the party. He was inside the party. He's about as establishment as you can get within the party system. He was Hillary Clinton's guy. He's worked with these folks, but Adam has also seen where the wind is shifting, and again, an opportunity was given by Hakeem Jeffries yet again was given an opportunity. Senator Schumer yet again was given an opportunity to endorse
Layups,
Mamdani. Huh?
layups.
Yeah,
They're all
layups. Just
layups.
endorse them, and they still, folks. The day I want to be sure, get my bearings straight. Yep, it's September 24th. Right now, it's 12:27 p.m. on the Eastern time. Mamdani is surging in the polls. He has a brilliant cross section of Jewish voters, Black voters, Muslim voters, Asian voters, white voters, young voters. Every poll, he gets more and more people. He has been on message. It's a positive message. Literally, everyone's like, this guy is a once in a generation talent. Damn it. He can't run for president because he was born in Africa. But nonetheless, his message is uniting people who even voted for Donald Trump. Take on the oligarchy, make New York affordable again, right? Call out Israel's genocide, call out the billionaires, snark and humor and clap back. Stand for something. Don't throw people under the bus. Right? Stand for immigrants. Stand for Muslims. Stand for Black people. Stand for workers. Stand for LGBTQ
And when he
folks. Right?
talks, you can tell he listens to everyone. It doesn't matter who you are. When he comes out with a video and is like talking about his hands and then his hands in his pocket and all that kind of stuff, like you want people who are paying attention to what people are saying about you and like own that humility. And he does. And I think that the party has a New York problem and a
Mm.
New York problem in DC, right? Because we've got two leaders in DC that are from New York that cannot get it right. And I never thought I'd see the day that Kathy Hochul would come out, and even if she tried to sort of triangulate it, she still did the endorsement.
She still did. It came late. It came late, but she finally did it. So now, Adam, and you know this, it's just a matter of time. It's
The, by
just
the
a
way, by
matter
the
of
way, the
time.
same leadership that was quiet on Mayor Adams when all of that was happening. And that was another easy one.
It's all a matter of time when they actually do it. Why are they still resisting? I have a theory. I want to hear yours first.
I think I don't know. It's a good question.
The reason why I think this is happening is they realize Mamdani's rise is inevitable. I think there's two reasons. A person told me, well, in the DC, know that Hakeem Jeffries wants to extract from Mamdani a promise that Mamdani will not back people, the people who primary Hakeem Jeffries and a few of their loyalists, right? So he wants to ensure that he won't back basically a progressive challenger to Jeffries and a few other people. So he wants to extract that promise, number one. The second thing I believe is money. Money rules the day, and there are a lot of corporate donors who hate Mamdani. You have people like APAC openly bragging about it. You got Bill Ackman and others. You got a lot of Wall Street bros. So you have the entirety of money that seems to hate Mamdani and what he represents. And I think what Jeffries is going to try to say to all of his donors is, look, I held out as long as I could. I did everything I could, and then at the last second, I had to vote for him. So see, I'm your guy. I used my powers to the end to try to dislodge Mamdani, but it didn't work. Your take.
Yeah, no, I think that is look, everything you're saying is correct. I mean, I don't disagree with anything. That's sort of why my original response was wanting to see what you said, because I think you're one of the smartest people in here. But this stuff is look, we've got a party that cannot read a room. And there was a little bit of this during the impeachment, right? We were waiting and waiting and waiting, and finally the right thing happened, and then there was the second one as well. But I mean, I just some days I just don't get it. Like I just all I want to do is spend my time lifting folks up. But the biggest concern that I have about people not stepping up and endorsing him is the fact that we as a party have a process. He followed that process and he won. So when you've got Jay Jacobs, who is the Democratic Party chair, who's a longtime donor and bundler, refusing openly to endorse a guy who not only followed the process, checked everything, and the people said, this is our nominee, then the Democratic Party is not following its own bylaws.
And it's one of those situations where I think, I mean, this folks, because Adam's
If
on
Bernie
here.
had become the nominee, would the DNC have said we're not getting behind him? I mean, this is
Yes,
just the
yes,
reality.
I think so. And this is where, I'm sure, Adam, I don't know if you get as much as I do and Danielle does, but I've tried to be very consistent in that I don't worship any politician. I have not given allegiance to any political party. Clearly, anyone who watches me knows that I don't do a both sides analysis. Democrats are the only horse that we have to combat the Republican Party, especially when it comes to that arena of war that we're in right
And
now,
I was
unfortunately.
talking to somebody about this yesterday because, the reality is we have the oldest two-party system, right, of anyone, and it doesn't seem to be going anyway. But if there's ever going to be a test on that, it is now, right? Because there are folks that feel like the Democratic Party has left them or is leaving them, but they're not going to go become an independent or a Republican because they are Democrats. So it's almost like, in a place like Ukraine where every time you've got an election, you've got a new party and so forth. I mean, if something's going to change, this is the time. I don't know that that's going to happen, but there needs to be a change in leadership.
Over my dead body. I mean, that's what I think. But you look, I've been saying this for a couple of months, and I think you're seeing it play out. It's a cold civil war in the Democratic Party. It's very clearly, no one's going to mention it, but it's a cold civil war, and everyone's fighting for leadership. And not just leadership, but what does the Democratic Party mean? Who does it belong to? What's the future of the party? And I think, that Charlton Heston quote from when he gave a speech at the NRA, you're going to have to pry this rifle from my cold, dead hands. I think that's what you see with Schumer and Jeffries and corporate money, APAC, the old guard. I'm not using old as a pejorative, to the point where, Adam, I'm convinced that they will do everything in their power to sink Mamdani's mayorship. If and when, inshallah, he wins, they will do everything to sink it. And this is what bothers me about people. What I was saying is when people say, oh, vote blue no matter who, vote blue no matter who, unless it's Mamdani. unless it's Ilhan Omar, unless it's AOC, unless it's someone actually demanding reform and change, unless it's Bernie, right? Then they don't vote blue no matter who, right? Or, I want to ask you about Kamala Harris. She's come out with her book, and in her book, she's loyal, but she also, from what we read and what we heard, her interviews with Joy Reid and The View, is she's talking about the Biden administration and the Biden people and the Biden handlers, right? Who did everything in their power to make her presidency about Joe Biden. No daylight, kid. You can't separate from me. You can't throw me under the bus. And the fact that Joe Biden said that he would be a one-term president, I think he handicapped her from the start. She only had 2 months to run. He should have 2 years ago said, "All right, kid, I'm done. Kamala, we're gonna lift you up," right? And the fact is, she did the best she could. I'm going to criticize her as well. She lost by 1.5 points. But even when it came to like kneecapping your own party, the YouGov poll a couple months ago said the number one reason, Adam, that many Democrats stayed at home was Palestine. They disagree with Biden being complicit in the genocide. Now you've seen all the poll numbers 2 years out. Pew, Gallup, I mean, all of it. It's remarkable shift. The overwhelming majority, I think it's like 92% of Democratic voters do not support Netanyahu in the occupation, right? Majority of Americans call it a genocide. And I want to remind people that what the Democratic Party did, because it was political malpractice. Halfway through her campaign, which was short, she was running this type of economic populist message, right? You all go check it out. Kind of, tilting towards that direction, seeing where the party was going. About midway, if you recall, you had these old guard Democrats like Pluff and others who took it over. And then all of a sudden, a shift in the rhetoric, going more centrist, threw Palestinians under the bus, and tell them, Adam, who she rather brought on stage instead of Palestinians and transgender people. I remember it was Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, Leon Panetta, and a whole bunch of like Bulwark and like Lincoln Project Republicans. Uh, I know some of those guys. I'm not knocking them, but they forfeited their own base to chase this mythical white voter who has left them in the Midwest, the real American. They told their base to shut the f up, didn't listen to the base, played it safe. Tim Walz got neutered in the debate with JD Vance, completely neutered. And then later on, he also said, "Yeah, I regret that. I was hired, if you will, to be the attack dog and all for weird." And he completely went off that. And I think that in part also helped her lose the election. Your take?
Yeah, no, I think you're entirely right. I mean, let's go back to 2019, 2020, right? Joe Biden ended up becoming the nominee because of black women. I mean, it's as simple as that. We forget the people that actually step up and are there time and time again and hold, really, they're the glue that hold this party together. And it ain't white women and it ain't white men. And
45% of white women who did the right thing, we see you, we salute you. But Adam is correct. The majority of white women for since the 1960s, only except twice, once for LBJ, once for Clinton, have gone Republican. And for the last three times Trump has been on the ballot, a majority of white women have gone for Trump. Just a fact.
yeah, and if you're interested in more and trying to figure out why it is, especially that rich white women have gotten behind Donald Trump, check out Dana Bash on Inside Politics, and you'll have a better idea. So I agree. Look, again, like first of all, I'm glad she wrote the book. I know there's people that have got on TV and said, well, they're going to make it hard for anyone like not me, but like the person talking, myself, to have another conversation with her because we don't know what she'll share. I'm glad she is putting everything out there, and she's also criticizing herself too because she
Yeah.
said she should have said something when he wasn't going to be running again, and there should have been that conversation, and we should have had that conversation as a party, and so forth. So I'm glad that she is out there. She deserves to tell her own story because for the last 9 or 10 months, people have been telling it for her, and that includes, the Bulwark and others that folks that were standing on stage with her. Um, but look, I agree with everything that you're saying, and look, she also said that she was interested in Mayor Pete, but she didn't want to pick him because he was gay, and and thought that like that would make them unelectable. But the fact
I
that
don't think, Adam, go ahead. You say your part, then I want to give my response to that. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
no, no, no. I was just going to say, two things, like the fact that like that she would say something that she knows is going to offend people and be taken as controversial, I think means she is telling her truth. But two, I think had she picked him, we would have had more people come out and vote.
So, I think two things. Number one, I appreciate her actually being honest about the political calculations because that's how politics works. I was talking to someone yesterday, and some people said, "Oh, she was being homophobic." I don't think so. I think she was realizing, look at all the heat that she got as a black woman, right? And then this insane country in which Elon Musk and the right wing spent over $200 million to attack transgender people, and by that extension, LGBTQ people. I think what they were seeing was, okay, if there's a black woman with a young gay man, this country, which is losing its mind over me, is probably gonna like go crazy. I know they would because I can tell you so.
My take on it was like she was actually acknowledging that she understands that this country is both sexist and racist, and was
And
putting a
homophobic.
third piece into it.
And homophobic. So yeah, I know a few. I think most people get it, and I think most people actually agree. Even some from the LGBTQ community. Even though I can understand why some people in the LGBTQ community are like, "What the hell, man?" I get that perspective completely as well. Because if the situation was reversed and it was like a Muslim or South Asian, but even then, Adam, we people of color in this country have always played practical politics. Look at black women. Black people aren't stupid. They don't sit there and go, just because someone's black, I'm going to vote for them. If that was the case, they would have gone after Kamala Harris in 2020. What they do is, which white guy will other white people vote for? All right, Biden. That was literally our calculation in 2020, Adam, when it was between Biden and Bernie. I could tell you here in Virginia, most people were still undecided. But once we saw the trends shift, especially with the South, remember Clyburn and black voters, they went after Biden. We're like, you know what? Bernie is not going to get the black vote. It seems like it's going to be Biden. Biden is the white guy that other whites will be comfortable with, and he'll defeat Donald Trump, right? It's because we have to be practical because the cost is so heavy. Watch, which is why black women are a great bellwether for democratic politics, right?
Well, can I add to this? It's kind of a totally different topic, but what you just said is such a really good point in terms of their approach to how they think about things, and they're not just going to go with one thing because of X. And I had a conversation yesterday with Larry Krasner, who's the Philadelphia district attorney, and we were talking about how um, interesting it is right now to watch the makeup of jurors and grand jurors, specifically. Take it, for example, in Washington, D.C., right? They used to say a grand jury could indict a ham sandwich, but now you got a guy throwing a ham sandwich from Subway, and he's not getting indicted because the people that are on these jurors, one, they have relatives who are in law enforcement. They have relatives who have been arrested. They have relatives that are in public service, and they are looking at this stuff from all angles, and they're saying enough.
I think the people are standing up. The people are standing up, and you're seeing, and look, folks, it's the power, it's the money and the power from both sides that it's trying its best to crush real reform, and the people want reform, right? That's what's happening right now. It does come from both sides, but even though from the right, it's the use and abuse of the power of the state to crush skulls. But on the left, or rather, I won't even say the left, the Democratic Party, folks, if you think I'm being crazy here, they unleashed Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, the New York Times, Michael Bloomberg, Clyburn against Mamdani. All those guys supported Cuomo. It's happening in real time. In
And I
real
think
time.
I've said this to you before, Waj, but the thing to me that was the weirdest about Bill Clinton was, of all the people in his administration, the two that there was never really a good relationship with were Andrew Cuomo and Bill Richardson. So for him to come out
Mm.
and do that, you know, at that time to me was just like everybody was doing everything they could to stop this guy.
Yeah, and this is where when they say vote blue no matter who, I want you all to be eyes wide open. You're gonna have to be more discerning. This is my recommendation to everyone who's watching, the nearly 1,500 people. Be more discerning, and you have every right to be more loud, right? Because we have been living in type of a siege mentality for 10 years. You have no other choice. It's either X or Trump, and we're like, shit, okay, Hillary Clinton. It's either this or Trump. Joe Biden, right? I get it. But now it's like, all right, the system is collapsing. The establishment is corrupt. These institutions need to be reformed, and you can't scare us or hijack us anymore. And we saw in the 2024 election, Kamala Harris actually mentioned this in her interview. Nearly a third of America voted for her, a third of America voted for Donald Trump, but a third of America said peace and literally stayed at home. So this is where I think us actually using our voice, our money, and our votes actually signals to the country, to not just the Democratic Party, but also to ABC, hey, this is what we want. Because it was the people, folks. It was the people boycotting ABC, canceling Disney Plus, canceling Hulu, seeing Disney's stock go down that finally made ABC and Disney do the right thing. That's the only reason. And like I've said before, and I'll say again, the one thing that trumps all other colors, even the color white in this country, is the color green. This country worships money, Adam. Every immigrant knows this. The religion in this country is capitalism, and that's why you're seeing this massive battle happening between the corporations who all eagerly bent the knee. We all knew that. We called it on this show because I'm a student of history. Industrialists laid down the red carpet for the Nazis. And I told you all 3 years ago, me and Danielle said all the corporations will lay down the red carpet for fascism if they believe it's good for business. But now they're realizing, oh shit, this might not be good for business. Oh, the people are rising. And speaking about the people rising, I think what we have to be worried about is the right wing using and abusing its power to crush the people. I don't know if you saw this breaking news yesterday, folks. Today there was a shooting. There was a shooting at an ICE facility at Dallas. The shooter allegedly is a white man. He did not shoot ICE agents. There were a couple of people injured. There were detainees. He opened fire from a rooftop at a Dallas facility. The shooter is dead without any evidence. Just like 2 weeks ago, before there was any evidence, you had JD Vance and Kristi Noem spread lies, and they're saying that JD Vance said this attack on law enforcement, particularly ICE, must stop. I'm praying for everyone. Kristi Noem said there was a shooting this morning. Details are still emerging. We can confirm there were multiple injuries and fatalities. Folks, we had no proof there was any firing on law enforcement. Just like 2 weeks ago, without a suspect in motive, there was no proof that Tyler Robinson. Notice that Tyler Robinson's out of the news, Adam. I wonder why. Donald Trump and the right wing said it was the left, the left, the left. And now, I don't know if you've seen this. I mean, it is kind of hilarious. Now Kash Patel took a photo of the bullets that were there, and he's like, "We found these bullets, and these bullets that we conveniently found." And maybe he might be right, but this is what happens when you have liars and conspiracy theorists.
This is for Dallas?
Oh yeah, you didn't see this? About 15 minutes ago, FBI Director Kash Patel posted a photo. This morning, just before 7 a.m. local time, sorry, I had to do that. An individual fired multiple rounds at a Dallas, Texas ICE facility, killing one, wounding several others before taking his life. FBI, DHS, ATF are on the ground with Dallas PD while the investigation is ongoing. He goes on and he shows these massive bullets, and then conveniently written in pen, one bullet has anti-ice, and everyone else is like, I don't know about that.
Yeah,
And
they're
and
not
so
doing a really good job here of bringing the Candace Owens back.
Yeah, and there you go. And I just tweeted out, I said the two things that most Americans can agree on is they want the release of the Epstein files, and we have no faith in Kash Patel. And even now, people expect snark from me, but now you got like Aaron Rupar and Yashar Ali and others saying, I don't know if a radical leftist would write anti-ice in pen conveniently on a bullet and then drop it. It could happen, folks. It could happen. But what I'm saying is when you lose faith in your institutions, when you lose faith because the people are friggin' hacks, when you lose faith because they have no fidelity to the Constitution, to the United States but they have instead fidelity to Donald Trump, people at this moment, they're like, I don't believe you.
Well,
And I don't
the
believe
other
them.
thing is, right, I spent 15 years working with DC police as a reserve, and oftentimes, there's a difference, right, between criminal conspiracies and conspiracy theories. However, conspiracy theories are often used to cover criminal conspiracies. With that said, sometimes we have to look at this from a counter to conventional wisdom approach, which would be, let's just say for a minute, with everything that's been happening in Minnesota and Wisconsin and Utah, that this shooter, because again, we haven't even got to that part, right? He killed detainees.
Yep.
Um, if the ink on the ammunition was real, then to me it would be because he is putting disinformation out there. The shooter is not going to talk and say anything and wants everyone to believe this is the left, right? So he's helping fuel the left while killing his targets.
That and I think what people are missing right now, folks, and let's connect the dots, is I have been saying for a long time that, and going back full circle, is that Donald Trump is not going to leave. And with Stephen Miller at the helm, what they're going to do is use an excuse to have their Reichstag fire moment. Their Reichstag fire moment and their Horst vessel was the murder of Charlie Kirk, not by the left or transgenders or black people or Muslims or immigrants, by Tyler Robinson, a white 22-year-old man from a Christian conservative family who seems was radicalized by Charlie Kirk's homophobia. Notice how Tyler Robinson is scrubbed from the media. Notice that he is gone. Why? Because they could not find any links in the past 2 weeks tying him to the left. There was none. To be fair, no links tying him to the far right so far, right? So notice how Tyler Robinson's gone. What they did instead is they lied without any evidence, blamed the left. They still say they and them, they hate us, they killed us. I don't know if you saw the political rally. I'm like, who's they and them, bro? Not me, not Adam. Are you talking about Tyler Robinson? So that's completely gone. Also, when it was discovered that Vance Bolter, the Trump MAGA radicalized white Christian nationalist, was the assassin of Melissa Hortman and had a list of 70 people scrubbed. When we found out that one of the first assassin of Donald Trump was a white former Trumper, scrubbed. We just found out yesterday the second assassin of Donald Trump was a white guy, former Trumper, who tried to stab himself in the neck once he was convicted last night. Scrubbed. Are you all noticing this? The day of Tyler Robinson that he shot and killed Charlie Kirk in neighboring Denver, what people aren't remembering, I keep the receipts, is that the 16-year-old white boy, Adam, who brought an AR-style 15 weapon and shot, his high school students and killed himself, was radicalized online by white supremacist conspiracies. And what you've seen since then is a crackdown, right? Because what they're going to do is use this to say, see, the left hates us. They're at war with us. As the president of the United States, I have to declare martial law, punt the elections. Oh, you look, see, they're shooting at ICE. See, the left in the Atlantic yesterday ran a very irresponsible, reckless headline and article. I don't know if you saw it. Left-wing violence outstrips right-wing violence. Without the context, only one study. Folks, in the past 10 years, the GOAT in terms of incidents, violence, and death is right-wing terrorism and white supremacy. And it's even higher because, folks, the government does not research it and a lot of it's unreported. You haven't heard a peep from the right wing talking about it, right? So yesterday in the Atlantic, so reckless and dangerous, an article came out that said, for the first time ever in 30 years, left-wing incidents of terror outrank right-wing incidents, and the entirety of the right wing has jumped on it based on that one study without giving it context, Adam. So I'm seeing this moment right now where Kash Patel, JD Vance already tipped their hand and are blaming, anti-ICE and the left. And then you see Tyler Robinson, the bullshit narrative's already seated. And then you see the study that's coming out that's going to be promoted by the right wing. I see this as a perfect storm for them to say, see, the left, whatever that is. Oh, and then Donald Trump called Antifa a major terrorist organization. And then finally, I'll say why it's really, really, really scary, if this wasn't scary enough for you, is Donald Trump unilaterally labeled the 11 people on a boat, Adam, as drug dealers. And he declared that as a major terror group. And then without evidence, he did what? Kill them. Extrajudicial assassination. So, folks, learning from the war on terror, we were right 25 years ago. We marched in the streets. We said this will be used against us. Donald Trump is now saying, I can declare any of you a terrorist group, and by the power vested in me, without due process, I can kill you. And he just did it to those 11 folks in a boat. Sorry for my rant. I just wanted to connect the dots. Adam.
No, I love your rant. I was going to say, you brought like 6 different things to mind just now. One, we have a mental health crisis in this country. We have a major problem on the right. We have a white guy problem, and we have a gun problem, and we have a roof problem. And I'm not just talking about Dylan Roof. So with that, you mentioned the Antifa part. The first thing that came to mind was a post I saw the other day, which I loved, and it was, if Antifa was a real organization, then I would be getting 40 text messages asking for money every day, which I think is just the best comparison to the Democratic Party you can have.
I saw that post.
But look,
Well, actually, aren't you the president of Antifa? Don't we have tea in your living room every Thursday?
we do, just like we have a secret Devin Nunez meeting with the cow on
Oh yeah,
Fridays
that's
at an
right. That's
undisclosed
Fridays. I forgot.
location.
I got it mixed up. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, look, what you just said in terms of what they're doing and how this is sort of like the perfect storm. It's the same thing, right, that they were doing in LA. You know, they go in these places and they create the issues, they create the chaos, and maybe that has not happened in Chicago, right? Because we have a governor and people are actually starting to pay attention. I mean, even in DC right now, you go down the street and one way of sort of silent protesting is every home now has a DC flag out. These are homes that didn't even have, American flags out a couple weeks ago. But again, this stuff is too cute by half, and I just want to tie it back to sort of the Candace Owens piece. Like,
Please.
uh, uh, we
I've
all
I've been following Candace Owens, by the way, on this only to see the Fissures. She is. I don't know if you all have been following it. I've been trying to tell you all, but Candace Owens is deeply influential in right wing spaces. Like she has the ear of like about a quarter of MAGA, and she has been off the reservation from the right wing script and on her own path, and she's gone a record number of views, and she's now gone all in on conspiracy theories, and she's against Kash Patel and the FBI and the Trump administration's narrative on Charlie Kirk's murder, and she's also criticized Israel. For those who don't know what's happening with Candace Owens, but continue, Adam.
No, I mean, that's really important context because the other two that I've sort of been paying attention in addition to Candace Owens is Megyn Kelly and Marjorie Taylor Greene. And Marjorie Taylor Greene had previously said in the last couple of weeks that she almost sees MAGA splintered into like 3 or 4 different divisions now, and maybe one or two will be completely gone soon. But none of us, you and I, and those tuning in clearly are not conspiracy theorists. However, this administration is providing a lot of quick and weird and almost too cute and too convenient information that really is making people question it. And there's things that we can look at that make it very easy to question whether or not we're being told the truth. Look no further than Kash Patel, out of all people being asked by Senator Kennedy about Jeffrey Epstein trafficking women and girls. And Kash Patel says the FBI has no evidence that anybody trafficked women and girls beyond Jeffrey Epstein. Meanwhile, his business partner is sitting in a nice, cushy new version of where she was for exactly that. And they ran a campaign on releasing that list. So the idea, okay, again,
That's the thing.
the
That's the thing.
idea the idea that the Republicans, Donald Trump and his FBI director and everybody else are spending all their time to protect Bill Gates and Clinton seems a little far-fetched to me.
It's and also, folks, it's one of those things where I, all right. Someone said, "Why'd you go
By
hard
the
in
way,
the
I'm not
paint?"
suggesting Bill Clinton did anything,
No,
but
but if he did, I don't care. Release the files. I don't
I,
care
I
who's in it.
I don't care
Release
who's
the
in there
files.
either. Release it. But the fact is like we've been told for so long that all these Democrats, right, are complicit in this. So tell us more.
So people, what I was saying, Adam, is some people say, "Why'd you go hard in the paint against these guys?" I was on Piers Morgan. They're like, "Damn, why'd you went there?" Is because I don't believe in the when they go low, we go high. It doesn't work. When they go low, you take out their knees, and
Well,
that's a legal UFC
Sam
move.
Youngman, who I write my newsletter with, said something to me recently that made so much more sense, and it put everything into perspective to me. And that is, we had droves of people leaving Twitter, and then they got back on Twitter, right? But think about Germany, right? Are we not going to go to Germany to fight Nazis because that's where they are? So if you are going to these places, we need people there speaking truth to power.
It sucks. It's a masochistic. Strongly recommend people don't do it. But what I do there, I don't play by their game. See, that's the thing. There is MLK talked about the white moderates, Adam. I want everyone to go back and read Letter from a Birmingham Jail and really go read what he said about the white moderate. And he said the white moderate was a greater stumbling block to justice and peace than the White Citizens Council and the KKK because they preferred a negative peace. They preferred a negative peace to tension. They preferred, civility to actual justice and progress. And they were the ones who said, "Oh, tut tut tut, not now, not like this." Right? They're the Ezra Kleins. The Ezra Kleins, right, who sanitize and whitewash Charlie Kirk without actually quoting him, right? And then on that panel where that was with also your white moderate Tim Miller. I know you all love him. Go ahead, love him. Love Bulwark. I'm not impressed by him. I'll leave it at that. The white moderates,
I just
right?
want to say one thing on the Tim Miller piece too, because I think that there's a lot of context that people forget, right? And that is, again, if somebody voted for Donald Trump in 2016, and I have people in the family that did, um, and then came around after that election, that's one thing. But Tim Miller, when I ran Ready for Hillary, his office was literally the building 10 feet away from mine, and he was running America Rising, which was a super PAC dedicated to tearing down Hillary Clinton. So that's the background and the context of which I know Tim Miller. I know winning is about addition, not subtraction, and we need all these folks. But like, this is a guy who actively helped get us here to where we are today.
Yeah, I'm all about that. Have them in the caravan, and I will say this. I'll say this bluntly. Not all of them, because everyone changes. I have Olivia Troy here. She's gone through a change. Stuart Stevens, had a fantastic conversation with him where he, on his own, talked about
And I
racism.
just want to
He
say
goes,
for Stuart Stevens, he actually is somebody who actively tried to do anything and everything he could during 2016. He was in touch with me and he was trying to get in touch with other people on the Clinton campaign. There are a lot of people that didn't take advantage of someone like him at the time, but Stewart was one of the few that actually, from the start of the campaign, was trying to help Hillary.
absolutely. So I want to be really sure here, and me and Adam, and I'm to tell you why I'm saying this is, increase the tent. Politics about addition. Bring people to the caravan. No, I don't want to lump all the never Trumpers together. There's different people. Everyone's on their different journey. Olivia, I've had her on many times. Stuart, he keeps it real. He's very honest. I thought out of all the mea culpas, his was the one when I read it. I'm like, I really believed his. There's Lev, there's others, right? However, you will see the white moderates, the centrists, the abundance folks, the Ezra Kleins, the Tim Millers, and the others, right, who still engage in this type of civility politics, and they have blind spots. And there are three blind spots, in my opinion, is whiteness, their whiteness, they refuse to confront it. Israel, Palestine, look how they talk about Palestinians. Just look, their own record. And number three, corporate money, and still being close to the billionaires. And I believe, and Adam, this is my take on it, and these folks might not like it. They literally helped create this problem. They literally promoted and created the war on terror. They nurtured this type of monster that has been unleashed and went against them. And I say the following: if you're unable or incapable of evolving and reforming, you're not going to get the keys to the car. You should be grateful that you're in the back seat. You should be grateful that you're in shotgun, but I'm never going to give you the keys to this car. And let me tell you, folks, some of these people, they want the keys to the car. They only exist because of liberal and progressive money. I'm telling you straight, let me just be blunt.
Yeah, and
They
this
are using
and
you.
this goes back way, way, way back, right? Like when we were talking about the Cheneys, right? Like,
Yeah.
we
Yeah,
got
look at the
into
Cheney.
wars because of Dick Cheney, who then
And,
tried to
and,
stop
and
us from
Democrats
Donald Trump.
and Kamala Harris, they said, why don't you put Liz Cheney on with you? Even after the election, Hakeem Jeffries, after Kamala Harris lost, Hakeem Jeffries, you know who he did a panel with? Liz Cheney. So I'm going to tell you all right now, these folks are using you, use them. Let me repeat this. They are using you. They have made a lot of money. Adam will tell you, I'll tell you. All of them have made a lot of money in the past 10 years off of liberal money and progressive money. So what I say is the following: reciprocity. They are using you, you use them. Use them. Use them to weaken MAGA. Use them to weaken Trump. But tell them you're never going to get the keys to the car. Because if you give them the keys to the car, you're going to lose. And also, I actually never smoked blunt, Stewart, but I'm just being blunt because
Well,
I'll tell you
apparently,
why.
if you run in a primary and win in New York City, you don't get the keys to the car either, which is a little
Yeah,
weird. But hopefully, you get the
exactly.
keys to
Look,
the
look, my man.
mansion.
Yeah, you're in my tent. You're in the caravan. Like Adam said, it's all about addition. But you get your ass in the back. Or maybe you write shotgun. And that's a test also of how sincere you are, because you won't try to hijack it. You'll be, I effed up. I'm sorry, mea culpa. Let me help get you there. And that's another test for these folks. I say this, folks, because you saw it in the past 2 weeks. The Ezra Kleins came out, the civility politics. I was really disgusted by, I'll be honest, it was me on Piers Morgan, 4 versus 1. I was the only person of color. I'm the only person, Adam, who brought receipts of Charlie Kirk's own words, right? I was the only person who was repeatedly interrupted. And Tim Miller aggressively, 3 or 4 times throughout that entire thing, threw me under the bus, lumped us all together as both sides, tried to put himself as being more civil. Now Bulwark came out with a 19-minute video that's gone viral. Oh, look at Tim, noble Tim being civil, right? He accused me of shouting. I wasn't shouting. I was the one getting attacked by all these sides. Accused me of hate posting during Charlie Kirk's political rally, right? Tried to elevate himself as the civilized, oh, can't we all get along, moderate? And I'm not here for this bullshit. And I wasn't the only one who caught that. 3 white folks ganging up, 4 white folks ganging up on the only person of color. And the meanwhile, folks, the reason why I'm connecting all this is you tell the rest of us, shut your mouth, get in line, keep quiet, while Charlie Kirk literally tweets out, Islam is the sword used by the left to slit the throat of America. Black people were better off during segregation, right? MLK was a horrible person. And our job then is to sanitize this person. I'm not here for it. So I think it's a brand new politics. Sorry, I didn't mean to drag you into this,
No,
Adam.
I
And
would just like to
anyone who
say
likes Tim Miller, go listen to Tim Miller, go listen to Bulwark, just enjoy it. I'm
I
just
would just
letting you
like to
straight
say
up know.
as the only white guy on this show, I agree with everything you just said, and we're on the same page.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. Is that type of civility politics, the bullshit that you saw? You saw it, folks. If you think I'm crazy, you literally saw it in the past 2 weeks. Look at Ezra Klein. Look at The Atlantic. Look at the sanitation of Charlie Kirk, the use and abuse of Charlie Kirk to literally go after all of us. And you all think you'll be safe. You won't be safe. And it's not lost upon me uh, that, when they say vote blue no matter who, they refuse to endorse Zoran Mamdani, who's a guy who
Well,
looks like me, Adam.
and to your point, what's interesting with everything you just said is then put it in the candidate lane. And even when you go through the process and you win, they don't give you the keys to the car, which is fucking crazy. I'm talking about the New York mayor's race, right? It's like this guy did everything he was supposed to do and more, and they're still trying to keep him out of the car.
Yeah, yeah, he literally is running as a Democrat, and they're like, no, none of this is lost on us, folks, and you need us.
I just
You
say that
need the
because it's like, for some of the people we mentioned, if you want to drive the car, run for office, right? And have the people send you there. And you could drive whatever car you want. But in this scenario, there's multiple problems, right? And one of them, one big one is one you just said. And the other is when people do the right thing and are saying the right thing, we're still trying to stop them from getting into office. That's crazy.
Yeah, folks. So that's my take. And I know a lot of these, it's all overwhelmingly white Democrats who say this. I'm just going to be blunt. Oh, why can't you all get along? And oh, I love Bulwark. And oh, you're a hate monger. Say whatever I said my piece. I'm keeping it real. I'm telling you, they're using you. You use them. And if you don't believe me, that's fine. They have 3 blind spots: white supremacy, whiteness, Israel, Palestine. Look how they talked about Palestine. It's right there. And corporate money. I don't think they've done their proper mea culpas. Some of them have, some of them haven't. I know, Adam, am I wrong about this? Many of them have, mashallah, made a lot of money in the past 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that's the difference between some of the independent media outlets that you see versus a Midas Touch, because Midas Touch has no corporate donors. They have some ads, right? But like, a men's shaving ad is not determining what they're saying on their show. It gives them the flexibility of saying how they feel.
Yeah. And so, use them. And you need to expand the pie, bring on people. But, this vote blue no matter who, I'm not here for it. You can be in the backseat. You can be riding shotgun, Adam, but I think we finally hold the keys and we drive the car. We drive the car. Not the centrist, not Third Way, not Abundance, not Ezra Klein, not Liz Cheney. I think it's time for us to drive the car.
Not the
And this is the
Tesla.
yeah, not a Tesla, because folks, in addition, this is the only way we're going to win also. If you just purely look at it as winning, This is the only way we're going to win. And if you don't believe me, you're not paying attention to the fight the oligarchy tour. You're not paying attention to Zoran Mamdani. You're not paying attention for those 2,000 people who were joining us. Adelita Grijalva, who won in Arizona, a progressive, a major win. Is that you or me? Oh, that's no, that was them. All right, I was like, Adam, do you all of a sudden have soundtrack on Substack Live?
No,
Um,
I was going to say to your point too. Look, I think the Democratic Party, as long as it's here, is always going to be an island of misfit toys, right? That's just the reality because we don't look like them, which is just a bunch of white people who are not on the right side of history. But as long as we are sort of that melting pot in that different group, we need to lift up people that are doing and saying the right things, and we can have people that like did shitty things in the past be with us, but like the future is with our base and the people who have been our base.
Absolutely, folks. I kept Adam a bit longer. There's 2,000 people watching. For those who turned in late, we talked about Jimmy Kimmel's return. We talked about the hypocrisy and meltdown of MAGA. We talked about Kamala Harris and her book. We talked about how the Democrats and the establishment are making a mistake by courting old school politics, excuse me, the white voter instead of going after their base. We also talked about how there was a shooting today at an ICE facility. And even though no ICE agents were shot, JD Vance and Kash Patel want you to believe that this was an attack on ICE. Let's see. We'll find out more. But these are the same people who said that Tyler Robinson, Charlie Kirk's murderer, was a far leftist Antifa. He is not. And then I spilled some tea about my alleged beef with Tim Miller and used it, I hope, not in a petty way, but in my, trying to remove myself from it, why I believe we should stop ceding the ground to, I don't know, the Liz Cheneys and the Never Trump folks, and, maybe, just maybe listen to the people instead, and why I believe white supremacy, racism, Israel, Palestine, and corporate money are still the litmus test for the Democratic Party moving forward. Adam,
Hey, one
your
question for
take.
you on the way out. Is Netanyahu coming here again next week? Because they started to erect fences and bring in all the anti-protesting gear around the White House. There a couple of reporters
I think that
posted
would be
yesterday.
his fourth. I think that would be his fourth visit. And what's
But
really
is it
interesting,
confirmed he's coming here?
I don't know. I can't say.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't.
yeah.
But what's really interesting, folks, for those who aren't in the weeds, Candace Owens and her warpath against Kash Patel and the FBI because she does not believe the narrative about Charlie Kirk's murder. She's so influential, and you all need to know this because I want you all need to weaken and divide. Do this to MAGA. You can weaken them on Epstein. You can weaken them on the economy. And now you can weaken them on the Charlie Kirk murder. She has criticized Israel. She and Tucker Carlson have said that Israel pressured Charlie Kirk to be more pro-Israel and that he was shaken up. Some of their base is spreading conspiracy theories. And it's so big. And Netanyahu's base is not American Jews. Netanyahu's base is not Democrats. Netanyahu's base in America is white evangelical Christians. It's been so rattling that Netanyahu, the leader of a country engaged in a genocide right now, has had to address it twice, Adam. Twice. He came out and said Israel had nothing to do with it. And then again, he came out and said, we love Charlie Kirk. So if I were you all, exploit these fissures, exploit Israel, Palestine, and the right wing, exploit Epstein, exploit now this growing, folks. I'm telling you, it's growing. These conspiracy theories, they don't believe Kash Patel. You're seeing all these fissures. You're seeing the fascist machine leak, 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 leak. Adam, final question to you. I think they're running out of band-aids. I think this is a Trump administration that is actually posing as strong, but they're actually weak.
Yeah, and again, he surrounds himself with a bunch of people who don't even tell him the truth. Donald Trump, that is, if it's bad, and until he finds it on his own, and then asks about it. I just wanted to say one more thing too. The Charlie Kirk stuff. We put in our newsletter. It wouldn't have been a funeral without fireworks. But like what they're doing to take advantage of all of this and turn it into something else is disgusting, right? We all agree nobody should ever be killed and there shouldn't be any violence and all that kind of stuff. But the more I've looked at it too, it's just everybody is connected. I thought it was weird that his parents were nowhere to be seen. So I started looking online, like, who are Charlie Kirk's parents. And did you know that his father was the architect of Trump Tower?
What?
Yeah, it's like it's wild. I mean, and then, we've heard in the past about how Erica, was, quote unquote, Miss Teen Arizona. I didn't realize until today that it was Miss Teen Arizona of Trump's Miss Teen USA.
I saw that yesterday, man. I saw that yesterday. This is not conspiracy theories. Erica,
No, it's
Erica Kirk actually has a relationship with Donald Trump vis-a-vis being Miss. Was it was 2012 or 2013?
2012, I think, prior to, yeah, this is like before Charlie Kirk. I mean, so like their families are interconnected with Donald Trump long before this, which is just beyond wild, man.
Is it though? Is it,
No, I
folks?
mean, but like the architect of Trump Tower is just like, no, like a funeral where your parents aren't seen or don't speak. I mean, I can
They
see
wa
why they
I
wouldn't
refuse
want
to
anything
call
to
it a
do with it.
funeral. It
Yeah,
wasn't a
sorry.
funeral. It was a political rally
Yeah.
masquerading as a funeral, and it was very dangerous and disturbing. I'll give credit's due. Erica Kirk gave her a really sweet, a kind Christian, moment of forgiveness, and then Donald Trump came on right after and literally, folks, did the opposite and said, "They can forgive, I can't. I hate my opponents." And I'm like, and then they applauded. They applauded. They applauded Erica Kirk's forgiveness and they applauded Donald Trump's vengeance. And now they're using any excuse they can to declare war. And keep an eye on what happened with the shooting. We just gave you the latest up to date news about the shooting that happened at an ICE facility in
And
Dallas.
last comment, by the way, there was a video of, all the folks lined up to go in and like the additional area at the quote unquote funeral. And someone had posted basically saying, if only this many people cared about the gun problems and mental health problems we have in this country.
If only people cared about, oh, I don't know, the kids. I want to remind everyone that the same day that Charlie Kirk was killed, there was a shooting in Denver High School. The shooter was
Evergreen. Yeah.
16-year-old boy, killed himself, radicalized online by white supremacists, followed white supremacist terrorists and anti-Semites, brought in, I believe, an AR-15 style weapon. If I want to double check that, and then shot his classmates. He was the only person who was killed. There's mass shootings in this country almost every week. We have more guns than people. And the number one killer of kids and young teens in this country is guns. But it ain't the guns, it's the leftists and Antifa. Folks, Adam, shamelessly promote yourself.
Look, if you're here from my end, please go to that circle and click it where it says the left hook and Waj and me. Subscribe to Waj if you aren't. If you're there from him, subscribe to me. But I see so many familiar people and Tim and others in the comments. So thank you guys for being here. I'm glad that God joined us. Always wonderful to be with you, man.
Thank you, sir. We'll try to, Adam wants to do something every week. So if you guys like this, let us know. We'll try to set something up, hopefully for every week, maybe a Wednesday. Maybe this is a good time. And then I have a whole bunch of stuff later today. So does Adam. This is the Left Hook. Subscribe to Adam, folks. I have no paywalls. Everything's free. If you have a few dollars, give it to Adam. If you have a few left after that, give it to me. If not, become a free subscriber. Be informed,
We
folks.
have no paywalls as well, so
Yeah,
never
so
have.
no paywalls. And look, just a lot of people say, "Oh, you all have to get along with each other." I don't think so. Like, it's okay to have this stuff out in the open, right? These tensions, and we have to figure this out because I'm not for the vote blue no matter who. I want reform, Adam. I don't want restoration. I want reform. And if we're gonna spin the wheel and recreate the wheel as it was in the past, it's a recipe for failure. So
I
this is
want
the moment right
reform
now.
and the Epstein files.
Yeah, unite over the main stuff. Go
And by
after
the way, talk
fascist.
like them, right? Like, let's get the Epstein files. Do it for Charlie. All right.
Yeah, do it
That
for
is a
Charlie.
way to honor
Charlie
Charlie.
Kirk's one of Charlie Kirk's final requests. He said, "Release the Epstein files." So, in honor of Charlie Kirk, in the spirit of unity, the fact that over 80% of Republicans, 80% of MAGA, 80% of independents, and 80% of Democrats all agree on one thing. The only thing that we agree on in this country, folks, according to all the data, release the Epstein files. Adam, pleasure, sir. Everyone, take care, be kind, and don't be a fascist.